Kathy are in Chicago. They just wrapping up things, and he told me that they'll be home for a little while. So they're wrapping things up, and no more trips for a little while. So we just pray that they'll be okay coming back home. Actually, they were in the process of coming home as he texted me this morning. All right, I'm hearing some dings and dongs and all that. Make sure your device is cut off and everything put on silent just for a little bit. And all your phones are off as we go and direct our attention to the Lord. When I say direct our attention to the Lord, I mean, don't worry what's going on outside of those doors, because it's not none of your business. You know, our business about telling God this morning, thank you for the things that he's done for us. And we have hope that he'll continue to do things for us this day. Love being here, love the morning. So let us go and talk about just something that God wanted us to understand. You know, you go to an audiologist if you have trouble with your hearing. Yeah, you do. And you go what for it so that you can have better hearing. Well, you know what? We're going to talk a little bit about this morning that not that God is trying to tell you something. Kind of told you on this on Wednesday. But God is still trying to tell you something. So let us make sure that we have not our audible hearing, but the hearing in your heart that's open this morning, because God is trying to tell you something. And when we get to the judgment day, and those people are told to get out of his sight, that he never knew you, it's only going to be because you didn't listen to what the Lord had to say. So let us not be that way this morning. Maya Angelou says that listen to yourself, and in the quietude, you might hear the voice of God. Now, she's not saying that God's going to come and say, Elton. It's not going to happen that way. He told you need to listen to his son. God is not going to talk to you personally. It's not that he can't, but he's not going to do it. But you can still feel the Spirit of the Lord moving in you and guiding you and directing you. So, you know, but listen what she said. In the quietude, some of us are too busy, too loud and noisy that we can't hear the voice of the Lord, even if he was calling us. The Lord, God, is still trying to tell you something. Now, you need to figure out for yourself. He's already told the church what he wants us to do. But for yourself, what is he telling you? Us, we're all individuals. Collectively, we're a church. But you're individuals who have your own personal worship with the Lord. Everybody has a personal relationship. Now, what is God trying to tell you this morning? What is he going to be telling you all this week? And some of us need the Lord to tell us something. See, we want to listen to everybody else. Some of us are running out of minutes on our phone right now, and it ain't nothing but the 2 weeks into October. But what are we listening to? Stuff that ain't going to get you from earth to glory. But what is God trying to tell you this morning? He's been speaking for such a long time. We're going to look at Balaam and his donkey when God was trying to tell him something. Okay? So when we look at this man, Balaam and his donkey, put yourself there in the matters of your life and see how stubborn and obstinate you may be in going in the wrong direction when the Lord has told you something different. Okay, so these are not just nice stories coming from the Bible. The Lord is using these stories to tell you something. Pay attention to what he's trying to tell you so you'll understand what he's trying to say. Numbers 22 is where we're going to go, and we're going to look at this backstory because I really want to preach from verses 22 onward. But this is the backstory so you'll understand what's going on. Now, the Israelites had left Egypt. They got kicked out of Egypt because they had to let the people go, and they finally kicked them out. They're sojourning to the promised land. So they get to the promised land, but the Lord has told them, but there are people in the promised land that you have to kick out if you want to take over the land that I've given you. The Lord give you things, but sometimes you got to work for what you want. Okay, he said these lands are yours, already given them to you, but you got to fight and kick the people off if you want your property. Okay, so they came in great number, and when they got to the plains of Moab, they had to take a little rest by the Jordan River, because there you could wash your clothes, you could drink the water, you could do whatever you need to do to rest. And they came in great number. Okay, now the number of men that crossed over into Jordan were about 601,000, even though 2 million were crossing over into Jordan. You say, why so few men? You got to remember that the Lord waylaid everybody who was 20 years old and up weren't going to enter into Jordan. So hundreds of thousands of men died on the way. So this is what you got, because they took a census and said that the total number of men that crossed over were a little over 500,000 men, not counting children, not counting old men. These were just men who could fight, and women. So there were a lot of people, okay, coming over. Now, what happened is that Balak, the king of Moab, witnessed all these people coming, but he also knew that when these people traveled along, that they were destroying their enemies that God had told them to destroy. And he had witnessed the defeat of the Amorites by the hands of these Israelites. And he was terrified that they would suffer the same fate. So he said, look, there's some people that's come out of Egypt, and they cover the face of the land. They're going to sop up everything around them. So his paranoia is getting heightened. And so he says, oh, these people are mighty. God's got his hand on them. And he's getting frightened right now. Okay, paranoid people get frightened, even with nobody chasing them. Because God had told them there were some people they needed to conquer. And guess what? The land of Moab wasn't even on the list. Okay, so they got scared. So what do you do when you get scared? Well, you want to put something into action. In Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 16 and 17, now get this. These are the people God said they need to go in and destroy if they want to take their land. So in Deuteronomy 20, verses 16 and 7, he says, however, in the city of the nations that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, listen, don't leave anything alive. Listen to that. He might sound cruel, but God knows what he's doing. He says, don't leave anything alive that breathes. Completely destroy them. The Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and all those sites and bites gotta go. The Lord your God has did what? Commanded you. Now, listen, when you don't do what the Lord tells you to do, problems are going to happen. Now, listen what he says. Completely destroy them. And what's the first name that comes to mind up here? The Hittites. So you say, well, Brother Wills, what you mean by that? What came back to haunt them? The Lord says that you're supposed to destroy all these nations, every one of them. Don't leave none of them alive. So how come centuries later, we got somebody in David's army known as Uriah or what? The Hittite. See, if they did what God had told them to do, then nobody would have married Uriah the Hittite called Bathsheba to have David to make adultery with her and to ruin his family. You see? Just a little leaven will leaven that whole lump. If he'd have got rid of all the Hittites, then David would not have fell to Bathsheba. You see what I'm saying? So David hires the enemy in his own camp. All these people had to go. But see, the king of Moab is scared. But I don't see nowhere where they talk about destroying the Moabites. Moabites were their distant cousin. You see, remember when what's the guy, what's his name in Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot, the nephew of Abraham. Well, when he slept with his daughters, he birthed one of the people who would start the nation of the Moabites. So they killed folk, okay? So that's what happened. All these people are out there. The king is scared that the people would take over his country as well, all right? He wants to have a preemptive strike. I'll strike first. So I got to have Balaam. We know about Balaam. We know what he can do. So he's going to have him to curse the Israelites, okay? They inquired of Balaam. Balaam inquires of God. And God replies, don't you go with them, because he sent some people to go get Balaam and to come back and to curse the people so that they won't hurt them. But God tells him, don't you go back with them, because they offered him some money. He says, and I left out a word there, you must not put a curse on those people because they are blessed. God was blessing the nation of Israel when they came out of Egypt. Don't you touch them. Don't even go back. You don't need to go back with them because you ain't cursing them. Okay? So what happens was that should have been the end of the story. And that's why we have the story of Balaam and the donkey, because that should have been the end of it. God said, don't go back with them. Don't you curse them because they're blessed. That should have been the end of the story. But some of us, it ain't the end of the story. You see, we want to test God. When God says no, God means no. When God says, I don't want you to have this job, but you want to have it anyway, God says, go ahead, but I said no. See, this stuff soon to follow. When your parents are telling you, don't you go around there marry that little nappy-head girl, she ain't going to do you no good now. And you marry anyway, and here you want to come back and bother mom and dad and all that. And they tell you don't marry that jackhammer. I don't care because him's got muscles. Yo, I told you don't marry that man. And you all coming back to the look at mama, look, you know. Yeah, don't marry. You didn't listen. They were trying to tell you something. Paranoid people, listen, are dangerous. And greedy people will do anything for money. You got paranoid Balak, and you got greedy Balaam. And people do anything for money. So you got king, you got the king, he ups the ante because God says, no, don't you go back with him. People go back, tell the king, and he won't come. He refuses to come. Oh, he did. Okay, they up the ante. So what they do is they send another retinue of more distinguished people, because maybe he'll come then. We'll send some esteemed. We won't send the president, but we'll send the vice president to your house. And that'll give you more gifts and more offers of wealth. And that'll get him to come here, because some of us love money. Some of us love stuff. So they send him. God still tells them, you're not supposed to go with them people, you know, but he don't tell them that yet. So what he does is the enemy of the church are restless. Get this now, and they unweary in their attempts against the church. Don't ever forget that. See, you can be tired. The Bible says in your weariness, he says, don't continue to do good. Don't give up on the faith. But guess what? People who want to destroy the church, they never get tired. They never get weary. Because they're like a lion that need to eat. Because if they don't live. He says, so they're going to keep coming at the church. He says, but you got to be on your guard. So they send this second retinue, and they come and they offer the same thing. Come on back with us, and we're going to give you some money, but you need to curse these people, or they're going to take over and destroy the kingdom of Moab. Okay? Balaam hears from God, who allows him to go with him, because you got to remember at this point, God is fed up with him. Because didn't I just say no mean what? Mama, can I have that cookie? We're about to eat dinner. Have the cookie? No, because if you eat a cookie, you don't want to eat it. No, I said no. Why? Why, Mama? Because no means no. You see how it is easy to do that with your own children, but when God tells you no, you got a problem with it. He said no means no. So he says, okay, y'all come on in. The second people come and they ask him, and he says, stay here overnight and let me go to God and see what God has said. What does God have to say when he already said no? So they go back. Days and night. He gets up in the morning because God's already fed up with him and says, go on with him. Go on with him. See, God wanted Pharaoh to release the people from Egypt after 430 years of slavery. So here, God wanted the Pharaoh to let his people go. But when God's people are bent on doing the opposite of what God instructed them, you know what? God will let his people go. Think about it. When you have disobeyed the Lord, you have opposed the Lord. God says go right, you want to go left. God says go down, you want to go up. You know, don't think that any good's going to come for it, because God does this. Throw my hands up. Go where you want to go. And we've all been a disobedient person at that point in time when we wanted to do whatever we wanted to do. And God would let you go. And guess what happened with the prodigal son? You don't hear anywhere in that story where him and the son was going at it. The father and the son was going at it. He wanted his stuff. Give me my stuff right now. I want to get out of this place like we do when we grow up, because, you know, Gainesville back in the day ain't had nothing. Everything shut down at 12 o'clock. And it had nothing. It was nothing like it was in the day. What you see now, I wish I grew up in this town as a kid. You know, there's so much going on. Probably would have destroyed me. But he had nothing. So sometimes you want to leave home where the action is. But you know what his daddy said? Gave him his stuff, said, go on. And that's what God will do to you and me. Go ahead, have it. You know so much. I mean, you've been here before. Go ahead, have it. And you know what you do to your children then? You just pray for them because you hope nothing bad happens to them. But you need to let them go. Let them experience. Okay? But God's still trying to tell you something. You need to listen. God's going to always try to tell you something for your own good. So that's the backdrop of the story. God says, go on. Go ahead. You see, God says, now, if I tell you no, then what is your reason for going back? See, it's not to curse the people, because I told you don't do it. You're not going to curse the people, even if you wanted to do it, if I bless them. So what is he going back for? It's the money. It's the money. So go ahead, greedy person. There was no reason for Balak to go back. God was not going to let him curse the Israelites. They were a blessed people. God becomes angry at Balaam because he went. And see, God knew why he was going. Let him go. The sins of the sinner is not to be thought less provoking to God, because God approves of it. See, God approved of him leaving, but that does not mean that God was okay with it, or that it is therefore not hateful to God. God says, go ahead and go. You know, there are things that you do, God allows you to do it, but he's angry about it. Yeah. Do you know that it's a sin to kill people? Let me take it a little bit further. Do you know that it's a crime to kill people? Do you know that God sees that you're about to kill people? Do you think he sees that? And he lets it happen anyway, because that's what you want to do. But guess what? He's not happy about it at all. And later you'll pay the price, but he don't stop you. Say, well, that's not true. Well, a lot of people out here being killed. God sees it. He knows it. He's not responsible for it, but he's going to let you do it. Some of us don't want to come to church because we don't feel like getting up in the morning. God is displeased with that. But guess what? He lets you just lay right there and sleep. Yeah. Brother Copeland, he could take your life from you. You say, you want to sleep? You'll never wake up again. You'll be carried out that house. But what did he let you do? He lets you go ahead and sleep. He's not happy with it. Go ahead, Balaam. Go back there. I'm angry with it, but go ahead. God was angry that Balaam went because of the motives of Balaam's heart, he was greedy for wealth. Go ahead. See, you're going to have to learn a lesson. All of us maybe at some point in time didn't listen to mom and daddy, and you paid the price for it. I was about to say, I swear, but I said, don't swear. I hope there's not anyone in here today who didn't listen to mama and daddy, and today you're still paying the price for it. Got any children you weren't supposed to have? Yeah. You don't even know how grown you're supposed to be, and you around here trying to have children. Still a baby yourself. Why? Because you didn't listen to mama. I was listening to this guy on the video last night, and he says, you know what? I'm pro-life. And what the other one is? Pro-life and pro-choice. He said, well, how can you be? He said, I'm pro-life. He said, and I'm pro-choice. He said, because everybody has a choice. All the women have a choice. He said, well, how is that? He said, there's two choices. The one where you shouldn't listen to your mom, and the one that you had a choice when you went to that bedroom. He said, so yeah. He says, so that was one of the effects of not listening to mom and daddy, by laying around thinking that somebody loves you, and then you have a child that you don't want because it ain't time for you to have a child. That's a story for another time. I ain't afraid to say it. Yeah, I ain't afraid to say it. What that man said, Tyler Perry in one of his movies, you need to click it, lock it up. Then we won't be having these issues about whether you need to destroy a baby or not if you ain't ready to have it. Yeah, God was angry that he went. He looked in his heart, like Judas's heart. We talked about it this morning. He was greedy for wealth. And he's supposed to have been a man of God. Then people knew he was a man of God, because they said, if you curse somebody, we know they'll be cursed. And if you bless them, they're going to be blessed. We know that. We know you got the power. But when men of God are running after that filthy lucre, you ain't going to never hear the whole truth and nothing but the truth from the pulpit. None of that. You're not going to hear it. They're going to tell you what you want to hear so they won't cut the check off. And they'll start to preach it even louder so you put more dots or put some more decimals and them zeros on your check. They ain't going to tell you the truth. They're going to want to keep your heart happy with a lie. Just like the people back in the old days say, don't tell us the truth. You know, they wanted to hear lies. Tell me what I need to hear. Oh, it's okay to miss church once in a while. They let you off on the work. They got off days on work. You can miss church once in a while. And then you off, and then the deacons and the elders want to know where you're at because the preacher told you it's okay to take a day off. For some people that do that, I hope it's the day that Jesus return on you. He says, now this is judgment day, but I stopped by your church this morning and I ain't see you there. And you're going to have some trouble at the judgment day explaining to the Lord why you didn't go to church. Think about it. Why you didn't go to church. Jude 1:11. See, we know greed was his problem because here the Bible tells us in Jude verse 11, woe to them, they have taken the way of Cain. That's one thing they did. They have rushed for profit into Balaam's error. That was his problem. His error was that he wanted to profit. He wanted wealth. Forget about what God said. Do not go back. Do not curse them people. They are blessed. So what is he going back with them for? If that's what you want to do, go ahead. Same thing he told Judas. He says, one of y'all going to betray me. The one I give this cup to or this piece of bread to, he said, that's the one that's going to betray me. When they took it from him, he says, whatever you got to do, be quickly about it. Do it quickly. And it says at that point, the devil entered Judas's heart. And guess what he did? He got up to do it. You see, if you are bent on doing whatever you got to do, God says, go ahead and do it quickly because it's already in your heart. Go do it. Go do it. See, it ain't nothing. You see, there's nothing good about you telling me, you know, if I had an accident, I'd bust you in your head right now. But I ain't going to do it. Well, you know, you might as well have done it because it was in your heart. Yeah, it's in your heart. It's just like you done it. You see everything happening to me, hit me in the head, blood spilling. Why? Because you think I bothered you. Already do it. You don't want to put money in this collection? Your mouth is closed and you're looking happy, but in your heart you're saying, man, look, they always taking. I ain't got nothing to pay my bills with and all of that. You know what God said? You might as well just keep your little 2 pennies you put in there anyway. You might as well just keep that. God dispatched an angel to oppose Balaam. You got to look at this. When Acts chapter 5, we saw that them two, Sapphira and her husband, I forgot the man's name. Yeah, Ananias. Y'all good. And he says, you know what happened to them is that they had lied to the Spirit of God. They lied to the apostles. They lied to the church. They lied to themselves, really, that it was okay. And what happened to each one of them? They dropped dead at that time. When he did what he did, God didn't allow him to die, Balaam to die. God dispatched an angel. Why? Because God was about to try to tell him something. See, God said, I didn't have to dispatch an angel. I could have had him drop dead right there on the spot. So you got to look at this story and see what God was trying to do. The holy angels are adversaries to sin, and perhaps are employed more than you are aware in preventing your sin. Listen, angels are right here on earth. You didn't know that, did you? But they're here. I don't know what they look like. Don't look at that fictitious stuff that they have on TV. They all got wings and they flying out like this, and you know, don't look at them like that. Because God says in this verse here in Hebrews 13:2, he says, be careful how you entertain or how you present hospitality to strangers. He said, because there's some people who have entertained strangers and didn't even know it. Look around you. You think you know everybody in here? How we did not know that Brother Ferguson might be an angel? He comes and goes, but I know he ain't visiting other churches. He could be an angel. You know? You could be an angel. There's some faithful few who, when I pull in the parking lot, I know who they're going to be. They already here. That could be angels. The backbones that hold the church together. But he says, be careful how you entertain angels. God dispatched this angel to oppose Balaam. Who is opposing you because of the stuff that you're doing to God today? Yeah, who's opposing you? God ain't letting you just run free. You think you're just running free and you seem like you're running free? God says, I will raise up an enemy against you. He'll be my enemy against you. God said, I will raise up an adversary if you keep treating me the way you treat me. He said it. Then you wonder why sometimes you have trouble in your life. More often, listen now, or more often, it's the intelligent. And when I say wise, I don't mean spiritually wise. I mean the wisdom from the world. It's the wisdom, he says, the wise who are blind to the presence of God. See, poor people and hurt people are most humble people that you ever want to meet. You see, he says, and those are the people who usually listen to God. These wise and intelligent people don't feel like they need God. Now, I'm not saying they all do, because here I am. Boy, that wasn't humble at all, was it? But wise and intelligent people will listen to me, but more often, they won't. But guess what? Why is it, and some of y'all can ride with me with this, that animals can sense danger before we do. See, you on the bus with me now? You follow me? Because we're talking about a donkey here. But why do animals sense danger before an intelligent, wise human being? Evidence is mounting, therefore, that animals perceive impending disasters earlier than humans with their measuring equipment. You hear that? Science is seeing that. Science is saying, how is it that happens? It says they then communicate this information that they're receiving through their sensories. He says they communicate this information through their behavior, a type of animal early warning system for natural disasters. It was this mountain that had a volcano. I think it was Mount Etna. And they had sheep and goats around there, basically goats. And they started to study the goats' behavior. And they found out whenever Mount Etna was about to erupt, hours before, the animals started acting strange. And sure enough, it would spew out lava and all that other stuff. So they did a 2-year study with these animals. And every time those animals began to act strange, they accurately predicted 7 eruptions by the way that those animals behaved. And we still in our house trying to cook ramen noodles and all that. And them animals going, look, something about to happen. And then we're the ones out there dead and stuff because we didn't even hear it coming. We didn't hear it coming. But God is trying to tell you something. So guess what? You don't have to be surprised when disaster comes your way. But are you listening? Are you too busy on your iPhone? I don't have an iPhone, whatever phone you got. Are you too busy? A lot of people have died in vehicles on the road because they was too busy to listen to the things around them. Dead. Killing other people because they're too busy on the phone and ain't nobody talking to God. On 3 different occasions did Balaam's donkey see the angel of the Lord standing before him. And that's something I usually miss. I would talk about Balaam and everything, but I only looked at the story this time and see that the donkey moved in 3 different positions. 3 different positions before it, and the Balaam could not, before it saw God or the angel, before Balaam could ever see him. 3 times he was standing in the road, the angel, in verse 23. He went down a narrow path to the vineyards and he saw the angel. And the donkey went into a narrow place and he saw the angel. 3 different routes. And guess what? Each time it got beat. But in 3 different places it went. And notice how if you're looking at every one of these verses, it starts out with when the donkey saw the angel of the Lord. A dumbass. That's what they call it. Saw the Lord before a wise and intelligent man. And knew right away, because it didn't say the angel said anything to him. He just stood there. But the donkey perceived there's some trouble up ahead. I'm not going there. Here this fool is, man, on the donkey, going ahead, going somewhere God told him not to go. And had 2 people behind him just following them. But that donkey said, I'm not going down there. You can beat me all you want to, but I'm not going. Beating this donkey. Angel standing there. He saw it. Beating me. The donkey was aware God was trying to tell it something. Your master's way is a dangerous way. Turn from it. Don't come down here. What we do. I'm always amazed at how people get attacked in dark alleys. What in the world are you going down there for? You know, what do you think the chances are supposed to happen? You know, it's okay if you got an S on in your chest and a long robe. It's okay if you walk down there. You don't got fat slobber. You know you can't run. You can't fight. But you're going to walk down the dark alley. Okay, you know, Jesus walked with me. Well, you know, Jesus got some other stuff to do too. Then to worry about your foolish self walking down the alley you're not supposed to go down. Yeah, each time Balaam's donkey redirected Balaam's route, it was beaten. It got beat. You see, listen, when God's people direct their own footsteps without the consultation from the Lord, trouble isn't far behind. See, that's the equivalent of trouble in your life. Every time you thought you were going down God thought you were going down the wrong road, you know, you got beat. Finances are not right. God says, I didn't want you at that job in the first place because now you can't go to church like you used to. You're getting beat. God told you not to marry that woman or whatever. We talked about it before. Now she ain't getting you no but heartaches. You got a box of Anderson and Tylenol and she got hers too. You shouldn't have even married one another. He said, because you're getting beat. You see, you're getting beat. Getting in investments because you too greedy, putting all your hard investments in it. You know you ain't got nothing but 20 more years to live, and you putting all your money in. You 80-something years old. I ain't saying you're dying at 100, but I'm saying, like, you know, and you giving away, and then somebody take all your money. What you got to do? Now you at Walmart bagging groceries because all your money gone, and you 80-something years old. Because you're too greedy. You get beat. You get beat. You get beat. Don't go where God don't want you to go. And God going to let you know that you're not supposed to be going. Lord, I know. Listen to this. I know that you need to underline this. Because you think it is. People's lives are not their own lives. You think it's your life. See, God said, your life belongs to me. Did you not get in here and make a pledge to him? He said, you gave your life to me. It ain't your own. But we tend to do whatever we want with it. Is this supposed to be the temple of God? Then he says, you need to fix it up. He says, because if you destroy the temple of God, he says, I'm going to destroy you. That's why I got to get out there. Ain't no more ice cream after the day. On Monday, I got a slice of cheesecake in there. Ain't nobody better not touch that one. I'm going to eat that sometime today, and that's going to be it. I can't put no more sugar in my coffee. I got to try to drink it without that. And I told my wife, give me some more creamer so we can put that in there and make it taste. Well, I've done that before. I drank it straight back. I have to do it again. But you know what? I got to do something with my body because it don't belong to me. It belongs to the Lord. You see, something wrong with my eye. It ain't glaucoma. It's not cataracts. I can't not go down there and get me some weed. Told me wasn't nothing wrong with that. I just got a little pressure in there. So I can't get no weed. But if I didn't have this, I won't be getting no weed because I don't want to destroy this body. It don't belong to me. Dang. A man's heart plans his course. See, he wanted to go back with them people. He was told, no, man is planning his own course, but the Lord determines his steps. Proverbs 6:19. Oh, you want one more? Okay, I'll oblige. A man's steps are from the Lord. So listen to this. So how can anyone understand his own way? God said, let me lead you. You don't know where you're going. Yes, I do, bro. I know where I'm going. Well, then you need to throw away your GPS systems. You know where you're going. See, that even lets man know you don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're going. God says, I know. He said, but what's that in my GPS? He said, you don't have a GPS for the future. I do. I know where you're going. Bring this to a close. Younger children, you hear? I see them right there. I see the younger children besides myself. He says, I see the younger children. He said, you need to understand. You need to listen. and understand, he says, when responsible, and I had to put it this way because some parents ain't responsible or mature. Young children need to understand when responsible, mature parents give you wise advice for your ill-advised plans. You need to listen to your parents when they tell you, no, that's not good for you. You need to listen to your parents. Why? Because your parents has this unique thing about them that you haven't experienced yet. They know how to be a child. They've been that way. And now they know how to be an adult. You don't know how to be an adult. You ain't been there yet. They could tell you about things that you never have experienced, but it's coming to you. We sat out here down at the table one day. I guess it was frustrating us one day. We was coming home from church. So we said, when we get here, let's go sit down at this table. And we sat down at the table. I could tell you it's a nice sunny day. We was in apartments there at Kannabaha Reserve. We sat them girls down, me and my wife at the table, and we told them about what's coming when you get to be an adult. And those things happened, and some of them didn't happen good. Because why? They refused to listen to us. But guess what? We still living good. You ain't got to listen. God is still going to be God when you don't want to listen. Yeah. You go do what you want to do, but don't listen. Every parent, it's your responsibility to at least tell them. Don't throw them out there. Tell them what's coming. It ain't all pretty. You can live a wonderful life, but I don't care how wonderful life you think you're going to live, trouble will visit your address. It's going to visit your address. It's all in how you deal with it and how you get through it. Let's end this. Don't look at your parents as if something's wrong with them. Like Balaam thought something wrong with the donkey. Don't look at your parents and say, because they're telling you something that's good for you, and say, you don't know nothing, you old. See, we like to get advice from kids our own age that don't know nothing, ain't never went nowhere, and you want to get their advice because Quisha told me, Quisha 5 years old, sit down somewhere. So Balaam said, there's something wrong with the donkey. See, we like to think everything wrong with everybody else, but he was the problem. You say, don't look at your parents that way when it's yourself. Balaam's donkey had to speak up for itself and redirect Balaam's misguided anger. That donkey said, hold up, slick. What's wrong with you, fool? Be like you crazy. Haven't I always been good to you? You see? Well, if you paid attention, can't you see that there's something unusual about the way I'm acting? We're so busy with life, we can't see it. But a dumb animal was able to open up his mouth and speak for itself. What you beating me for? What's wrong with you, crazy? You crazy or something? And guess what? The donkey knew he was crazy because he answered the donkey. He said, don't you see what I'm acting that is not normal? He said, no, no. See, the donkey said, well, we just should have stopped and say, you're talking to me, right? Yeah, he was talking to the donkey. And see, man can't see what they're doing to Christ. He says, what have I done to you? He said, and men can't see what they're doing to Christ. So there's always somebody else's problem. They love to tell you about yourself. You need to turn around and say, well, I don't care about what you're doing to me, but what are you doing to Christ? You see, what you doing to Christ? Don't worry about me. Don't try to keep getting me straight. I got to see him on that day. But what you doing to Christ? You have to answer for that at the judgment. And then he goes, well, you know what? If I had a sword in my hand, I'd kill you right now. Shoot you in the head. Cut your head off. I'd destroy you. Oh, he's mad. He's angry. Some of us are mad at God because God ain't fulfilled your promises yet. God says, you had some promises I'm supposed to fulfill. See, I don't have to do nothing for you. See, I don't have to do anything. I said, my son, he died for you. He's opened up the path for salvation. And he said, really, that's all I should ever do for you. Yeah, he said, I'm going to kill you because I'm not going where you want me to go. He said, fool, let me tell you something. He said, each time the donkey rerouted and he lastly sat down, see, it wasn't for the donkey's sake. He's saying it was for your sake. He says, you know what? You beating me like there's something wrong with me. And he says, well, all I was doing is saving you. You see? Listen to your parents. Not that they crazy. I said they might be, but I don't want you to go back home saying that. But the preacher said you might be crazy. Your parents ain't crazy. Listen to them. Why? Because it's not for the sake of them. It's for your sake. Listen to God. It's not for his sake, because you don't have to do anything that God says. You don't have to believe in God. But guess what? He's going to still be God regardless. It wasn't for his sake. He said, I'm trying to save you. The donkey saw me, the angel said, and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away, I would certainly have killed you by now. He said, but guess what? I'd kept that donkey alive. I would have spared it. It's not for the sake of the donkey, but it was for you that this donkey decided to turn. So don't get mad at your preachers. Don't be mad at Brother Bell and myself when we get up here and talk to you. Don't get mad at Brother D when he get up here and talk to you about the Lord. Or any of these brothers that do that. Or any other sisters that talk to each other. Don't get mad at them. It's not for your sake, their sake, but it's for your sake. You see, that's why we do it. You know, they pay me, but I don't need that money. Wait a minute. You know, but I could not do it for free. You know, he said I would have spared it. He says, and guess why the man was there? The angel was there. He says, I have come to oppose you. There ain't nothing wrong with this donkey. I come to oppose you because your path is reckless one before me. And Balaam wanted to exact death on a donkey, yet God was extending mercy towards him because he could have got killed. I'm showing you mercy. Balaam realizes his sin, but it does not appear that he was sensible of his wickedness of his heart. He just knows that he can't go forward because it would be death sentence for him. He didn't really change. He just saw, I can't go forward because I'm going to get killed. But if he wasn't there, I'd sure like to go get that money. See, some of us ain't learned nothing yet. Wasn't God, I still go get it. God was always showing him mercy because Balaam wanted to be paid. But to be paid, he will still have to curse or bless the people. But God gave this warning to the Israelites. Now I'm going to show you how he's giving him more grace and more mercy. See, he's going back because he says, now I want the money, but I know in order to get the money, I got to curse the people. God already told him, don't do it. So why is he going back? To curse the people to get paid. But guess what? God's going to show him some more mercy in this verse right here. Genesis 1:12-3. He told the Israelites, I will bless those who bless you. And whoever curses you, I'm a curse. God was still trying to show Balaam some mercy. He said, because if you go back and you curse them people, I'm cursing you. God is trying to tell you something. Remember, God is still trying to tell you something. But it shouldn't take an ass to tell you that. That's it. Shouldn't take that. God has told you in the Bible. See, you got to go read your Bible. He told you something. It shouldn't take a donkey to tell you that. God is still trying to tell us something today. He has a plan of salvation for us to hear, to believe, to repent, and confess, and be baptized. Those words and those scriptures are not going to change because you don't believe in God's plan of salvation. And if you do those things, you hear, you believe, you repent, and you confess, that brings you unto the church. And then when you get baptized, it brings you into the church. And then you're on your way. Be faithful till you die, Revelation 2:10. And then the day that you wake up, then you and God going home together. And if you have sinned as a Christian, you need to get yourself right. Then the Bible tells you that the faithful prayers of the righteous avail as much. So get yourself together and let's go on home to the Lord as we stand to sing a verse of our invitation song.